as we prepared for the World Baseball Classic, obviously it's a different setup to the last time where we had to qualify and then had a very short turnaround. Were there any unexpected challenges that came through this process with a bit more time, certainly when it came to selecting a roster?
Yeah, I think we probably got too much time to think about it. That was, well, last time when we qualified, and as soon as we qualified, we were in the process of preparing to go to Phoenix and Arizona last time. This time round, we've known for 3 years that we're going. And so from that moment, the roster, we started looking at what that roster could look like. And you know what it's like when you're picking professional players. Things go wrong sometimes. Players are injured, players aren't available, and positionally we're strong in certain positions, in others where we're not so strong. So yeah, things change, but I would say that I'd much prefer it that we have plenty of time to prepare rather than be in a rushed situation. So pre-qualifying was essential for our philosophy, and that was the aim. Our aim was to go last time and qualify. This time, we want to go one better than that. So pre-qualification for the next edition after this one is essential. We need to do that again. But this time we're looking one better than that. And if we do that, if we go one better than last time, let's see what happens.
With the roster construction, what were the requirements? What made a player eligible to be a member of the Great Britain World Baseball Classic roster? Because it works a little bit differently than perhaps a European Championship.
Yeah, very interesting question, and it's one that gets asked a lot of us. How did that player qualify to represent Great Britain? It's very, very simple. In the Olympic Games and the European Championships, let's deal with that first of all. The players have to have a physical UK passport, right? So, in order to represent Great Britain at Olympic Games, you have to have a UK passport. You have to be a British passport. For the World Baseball Classic, there has to be a route to British citizenship, to UK citizenship. So the player might not physically hold a UK passport, but he has to have a route to obtaining one. So that's the difference.
And that is different from nation to nation. This is where it starts to get a bit complicated with a world event, right? So our eligibility requirements here in Britain are slightly different to every other team, and that's part of what makes this competition so interesting.
Yeah, and it was, for us, we go back to parental route. So the parental status of that player is what could determine whether they are entitled to eligibility. Where other countries, their rules are different. And so each country uses its own rules. So what is a rule for Great Britain is different for, say, Israel or for Italy. They have different rules. But that's what makes this tournament so exciting, is because it opens it up to players who might not normally be able to play at an Olympic Games or a European Championship.
And that's what happened last time, of course, is that we found that players from the World Baseball Classic roster not only were eligible for citizenship, but wanted to pursue it once they knew about it. That's how Harry Ford ends up at the 23 European Championships, and it could happen again, but this time for Olympic qualification.
Absolutely, and when players come to Great Britain and that they have that route to citizenship, then they follow that, and because they want to be part of Great Britain, they want to play. And we have this, and you've seen it, you've been party to this, when we have the What Makes Us session behind closed doors at these training camps we have, where everybody stands up and says what makes them British. And some of their stories are so inspiring, where they talk about their parents' heritage, and it makes me feel proud to be British that you hear these players who, you cut them in half and they're red, white and blue. It means so much to them.
Absolutely, and certainly somebody who has been afforded the opportunity to become British because of these players, being in that What Makes Us session, it's very, very special. And to then see these players represent Britain, whether they have grown up in London or if they have only a more tangential connection. But it's really special because once they're on the field, once they wear Great Britain, that's the gig. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, and if you ask any of them, what it means to them, they'll tell you.
Absolutely.